Good evening, good evening, good evening. Wealth builders, what's going on? Give everybody a few seconds, few minutes to get in here. A prosperous day. All right. We're going live. We are going live. We're here to talk about this thing called wealth. Specifically, we're going to jump into it and hit a few topics. A couple things about insurance and how to build wealth. As you guys can see, there's a smile on my face. You may ask yourself, why is there a smile on Jay's face? Why? Because the stock market has dropped today. It was dropping. Keynote, more than 70% of the people don't make money when the market drops, right? I am part of the 30% that do know how to make money when the stock market drops. So it's a blessing to be able to not only just earn money, but create money. And this is one of the, this is why we have the platform that we have right here, like the Wealth Lounge, to talk about these things. A lot of times we can't talk about or strategize about making wealth or having conversations with other people talking about wealth or making money or even sharing some of our wins. This is why we have a community that you can do that in. You can glean, you can learn, and you can also earn and create when it comes to being in a part of the Wealth Lounge at the bottom of the screen. Do yourself a favor. Sign up and invest into yourself, right? Into the side of the Wealth Lounge. All right. Don't want to delay. Want to respect everybody's time. And as I always say, thank you for investing your time with me because that's your most valuable non-renewable resource. All right. So we're going to set a couple of house rules tonight. Number one, the chat is open. The chat is alive. If you're in the building, tell me where you're from. Tell me how was your day. And if you have any questions about one, anything I'm saying or anything I have said. Number two, if you just have a financial question or inquiry that you probably heard of or you're not sure or you want demystified, please drop it in the chat. This is open forum. I'm here I'm not here for me. I'm here to serve you all. And it's a pleasure to be able to be blessed to be able to serve you all on this wonderful day. All right. So if for those that are in the Wealth Lounge, if you have checked the Wealth Lounge, and if you're in it, you should have a friend in it, right? Because two has greater reward for their labor. Number two, right? Your network determines your net worth, where your friends at, right? We should be connecting with these individuals. We need to make it common talking about money. We need to make it common talking about wealth building. It's a thing, right? We want to talk about the gossip. We want to talk about everything else that's happening, but we need to be talking about what's actually really going on, what's really impacting my life, what really can help us continue to grow and build this thing called wealth. Because you got to ask yourself, right? I want everybody to ask themselves, right? This is rhetorical. Why is it that you want to build wealth? Why do we seek so hard to build wealth? Think about that. Think about it. It should be a selfless answer, right? It shouldn't be just for you, right? We build wealth. And if we really understood it, though, it says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children, and a wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. But what does wealth really get us? We're going to talk about it. But in the community, what I did, I put up a chat, right? I can talk about information from experience, from knowledge, books, reading, certifications all day. But what I want to do is give you all what you need and what you want at this present time. And I put a poll up to identify several things that we were looking for. And one of the main ones, the highest percentage was insurance. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. But yet, feel free to drop any questions about any other topics inside the chat. Ideally, if we can keep a focus on insurance, then that would be ideal. But to start here, man, insurance. Can everybody see my PowerPoint presentation? It says insurance. How can insurance aid me on my building wealth? Can everybody see my presentation? All right. There we go. We got a yes. All right. I appreciate you. Thank you very much, Craig. We know Craig is in the building. Craig Williams. Craig is an individual that's on the journey to building. And he's increasing his wealth. And by the stock market dropping today, bless you. It's just when it's not all about what you know, it's also who you know, right? And yet again, this is leverage. This is why the wealth lounge is key to get around other wealthy individuals and or people that are striving to build more wealth as well. This is the opportunity for you guys to join something like this. All right. So we're talking about insurance. That's what you guys told me you want to hear about. So let's go. Right. So when we talk about insurance, the main thing is how can insurance be used, leveraged, positioned to do what? Help you build this thing called wealth. That is key. Right. Does anybody think insurance can help you build wealth? Because normally when we hear insurance, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear insurance? The word insurance. All right. Talk to me. Talk to me. What's the first thing you think about when you hear the word insurance? And there's no wrong answers here. That's key. That was my number one thing that I was going to say. I agree. I agree. Does anybody else have anything? Death. All right, that's what we're going to go with. That's actually that was the first thing that normally comes to most people's mind. Death. So you want me to put money away for a time when I actually die? All right, life and also car. Right. So now let's kind of put this together because every aspect when it comes to life, my goal and my job is to show people how to use it to build wealth and also how to leverage it yet again to build wealth. And we're going to identify why is that? So when we talk about insurance, let's go ahead and take a look at this here. Next slide. All right. So when we look at insurance here, this is what this is saying. Like, what is insurance? That's one thing we have to define what insurance is, right? And insurance, to me, is what? The one word that comes up is safeguard, right? It's a safeguard against what though? Loss or harm that's beyond my resources. It's a transfer of risk to what? Somebody else. It's protection. Who doesn't want to be protected, right? When men date a woman, they say we need to have what? We need to be what? Protector and provider. Man, so who's going to protect the man? But when we talk about risk, like let's identify like what risk is. Like risk is the unknown. Risk can be catastrophic. It can build everything it can tear down everything I build. I need to have something in protection. This is why my motto is plan for the worst and hope for the best. Right? We got to have faith, right? We got to be positive. We got to be optimistic. Right? But we got to plan for the worst because what? The worst happens. In Ecclesiastes, and I'm sorry to even well, not necessarily sorry, but I'm bringing up a scripture that I read in the Bible, which is a book, right? It has information, it has knowledge, and it has a lot of principles. But Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 1 and 2, verse 1 in the NIV version says, spread your grain across seas. That sounds like a seed. It sounds like an investment because one day it will come back to you, right? When you put money somewhere, the goal is to get it back more than what you put in down the road. Number 2, invest in 7 yet 8 ventures because you never know the desolations of the land. A desolation of the land? What are you talking about? Anthrax, COVID-19, assassination of presidents, the Great Depression, the subprime mortgage, all right, the tech bubble. All these are desolations of the lands, right? We never know what's going to happen, so therefore we have to be diversified, right? And also we have to mitigate our risk at every opportunity that we have. This is where insurance can come into play. Right. So now when we hear about insurance, I want you to identify and know what insurance is. Because if you were to go buy a car off a lot, what is the first thing that they want you to have before you drive off that lot? If you're renting an apartment, what's the first thing that they want you to have before you can actually get those keys? If you just bought a house, you're closing on a mortgage, you work with a mortgage broker, and you're about to close, they want you to have what before you can actually sign, get title to this deed, and get the keys to this house? Insurance. 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 So why is this so important, right? Why is this so important? Because at the end of the day, we might look at insurance as a cost, versus an investment? That was good. Insurance, is it a cost or is it an investment? Let's keep on talking. We'll get to it. All right. Next of which, I want you guys in this chat. You guys are pretty active tonight. I appreciate you. Y'all got the Twitter fingers tonight. I thank you for that. Question though, what harm, what loss, or injury can prevent or hinder your ability to build wealth? What in your life has hindered you from building wealth? Or what is something you identified in somebody else that can hinder your opportunity to build wealth, to make money, to invest? What can stop that? What can interfere with that? Can anything interfere with you building wealth? Can a hurricane interfere with you building wealth? All right. People perish from that. Lack of knowledge. This is why your network determines your net worth. This is why being in a community, reading, and also furthering knowledge, having mentors is a key way to do what? Study to show yourself approved to become wealthy. Hence, we got the Wealth Lounge. We in here. The knowledge and information is here. Right? Having the wrong mindset. Absolutely. Because if you're not thinking with a thriving mindset, you're thinking with a poverty mindset. All right. Since you guys did such a great job, I just thought about it. A couple of things I thought about that can hinder my opportunity to build wealth. What are those things? Death. If I die, I'm no longer here. I can't even work. I can't make money while I'm dead. Money actually doesn't even matter to me at that point. But what if I become disabled and I drive Uber for a living? I can't walk. How am I going to drive Uber? That affects my source of income. When my income is affected, that affects the money I can what? Buy assets with. That affects my opportunity to build wealth. All right. Number two, having one stream of income that's actually lost. That's tough, right? Because at the end of the day, we should have multiple streams of income. What if I got this one job and I lose that job? Now, yet again, there's no income to leverage and or buy any assets with. Bad debt, right? Albert Einstein said the eighth wonder of the world is compound of interest. That's when money that I have or credit that I have access to, I put it into an investment that makes me money, and the money that it made plus the principal, I put it into another investment, and all of that makes me money. That's compound of interest. That's how I expedite my journey to wealth. But what about I'm paying interest to a credit card company? Now interest is actually compounded against me. Now I am paying somebody else. The bank that's receiving that interest payment is using compounded interest. And a lot of times that's what I call bad debt. Well, I'm sorry. Let me go and give credit where credit is due. Robert Kiyosaki stated that there's good debt and bad debt. Right. So now that is bad debt. And bad debt is when we scroll down a little bit, is where we have liabilities. And it's all right with having liabilities. We work hard to enjoy the fruits of our labor. We should go buy those red bottoms, ladies, if you want them. Right? Fellas, we should go buy the gold chain if we want it. We should be able to take a trip. We should be able to eat nice, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is we buy liabilities before we actually buy assets. Our priorities are not in order. Because at the end of the day, my hard-earned income, when I have to go to work every single day, should not be paying for my liabilities, my luxuries in life. Think about if I take that trip to Jamaica and I got to pay $2,500 for myself. Think about that. How many hours of your work did that cost you? Was it worth that experience? I got to come back and work. Now you got to work 80 to 100 and 120 hours to make up for that one trip. That was for a weekend. Acquire assets, and your assets pays for that for you. Right? So what more litigation? whether it's something that you did on purpose or something you didn't do. Do you know if someone walks on your property, they fall, trip, hurt themselves? Someone can getting into your car can sue you and they fall and hurt themselves, right? These things are called liability. There's insurances to actually protect you from that. Because if I have to deal with a situation like that, one, it may cost me, it's going to cost me it's money out of my pocket. Number two, it can even cost me time. Instead of me attending a wealth lounge, I have to go to a court hearing. Now, time is, I can't get that back. But these are things that does what? That can hinder or prevent my opportunity of building wealth. And as you can see, having no access to savings, that's how we get into bad debt, inflation, right? Everything is increasing in value, but our money is not. Terminal illnesses, speculative investing without any downside protection. One thing I just said at the beginning, most people don't make money when the market falls, right? Most people don't know how to profit when that happens. It's a lot of times always on the upside. I buy an asset and it has to appreciate or I lose. That's too much of risk we're putting out there, right? So in all these aspects, whether they become major surgeries, major illnesses, insurance helps all these things. Insurance can be applied to actually help us protect our wealth, grow our wealth, and transfer our wealth. Now, I keep saying this word wealth a lot, right? Versus being rich. But we got to identify, like, what is wealth? I like to define wealth as the accumulation of assets, right? To pause there, an asset is what? Something that's going to put money into my pocket. It pays me. And or it appreciates. I buy it at 10 and now it's worth $15. Ultimately, I want an asset that pays me, that can appreciate, and that I can leverage. Hear what I say. Normally, I don't want you guys to hold anything, any asset that doesn't pay you and or that you cannot leverage. That's vital. We want more than our net worth statements looking good. We want more than saying that, hey, I have $100,000 sitting in gold. Your net worth has appreciated, right? Your net worth is simply your assets that you have minus your liabilities. The amount that's left over is what? Your net worth. But what income? Like, how is your lifestyle better because you have $100,000 worth of gold? You feel good because your net worth is better, but yet again, how are you going to pay for that trip going to Jamaica? Right? You can chisel some of the gold off and go take it to a local pawn shop, and then they might give you pennies on the dollar for it. Right? So we need assets that pays us income in order that we can leverage, because if it pays me income, it produces me income. Part of that income I get to consume and spend and buy my liabilities, but part of that income I'll put into another investment. Example, I got a vending machine. Vending machine just paid me income. And now I'm going to take 50% of this income and I'm going to use it for my expenditures. Now I'm going to take 50% and go, buy another vending machine, or I'm going to buy a stock that pays me a dividend. Now I got multiple different asset classes now. So yet again, I'm preparing myself for the desolations of the land. I'm being diversified. Now I got income coming in from multiple streams. My money I made is now making me money, i.e. compound of interest. So assets, right? So it's an accumulation of assets that buys back my time. That's the most valuable thing I cannot get back. And that does what? That allows that to pay for the lifestyle that I desire, that I want. That's what it's about. I want to live life on my own terms, right? I don't want to have to ask my boss, can I take a vacation? My boss is my bank account. That's my boss, right? Hey, what'd you say I can do this month? Right? Where can I do it? This is the point that we all need to strive to get to, right? And that is what I call wealth. So wealth is different from what? Riches. It is different from riches. So now with that, let's look at the phases of wealth, because we understand what wealth is, but what are the phases of wealth? One is protection. Imagine building a house and you forgot to pour the mixture in the cement, i.e. the foundation, and it just falls down. I can have the nicest granite marble countertops. I can have the most pristine stainless steel appliances, but what is that worth with a cracked foundation, with a weak foundation? I don't have any walls. I don't have any protection. We got to protect what we have and what we are going to build. That's important. Then we look at the accumulation phase. Then we look at the preservation phase. And then a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's that transference phase. This is where I'm transferring the wealth that I've accumulated, but also the knowledge, the rules to the goal. Please write this down. Remember this. Don't only just leave money. Don't only just leave cars. Don't only just leave a business, but leave how you actually accumulated it, how you managing it, what you would have done better, and what they need to consider doing to perpetuate and keep this thing going. Right? We don't want it. What is it? It's about 70+% of inherited millions, second generation millionaires or wealthy people per se, lose all of the assets, all the money that's been accumulated. They blow through it. Because I left my son $1 million, but my son gambles. My son doesn't have a job. He's lazy. He doesn't know about money. Why is it that so many people that get a lump sum or windfall of money, i.e. lottery winners, go broke within 3 years? Why is there more than 60% of NBA players go bankrupt after making millions in the league? Lack of financial literacy, right? You guys said a key earlier. The knowledge, lack of knowledge, having the wrong mindset. All right. So now look at these phases. Let's just understand like what those phases looks like. And what some things that we need in these phases, right? So we look at the wealth protection. We need to have a solid foundation to stand upon. But what does that look like? We need to have health insurance. If I don't have good health, yet again, I'm not healthy, I can't perform. I can't put in the work and the time that is required because I have poor health. That even goes to the things that they were eating, working out. The more you work out, the more your blood flows, the better you think, the more you can retain, right? But some other things that we need to have in place. Right, homeowners and renters insurance. I had to use renters insurance before. I had to use homeowners insurance before. One for a hurricane and one for. I actually had a theft in a car, and I had some laptops in the car that got stolen. Insurance reimbursed me and paid me that money. Right, this is the importance of having insurance. A lot of times, though, this is what I noticed though. Some people that sell insurance, it's just a job to them. And the job is where I create and I earn a paycheck. This is where you have to have licensed, knowledgeable, and also caring individuals that really know their stuff to help you. Because at the end of the day, insurance should help you protect, grow, and transfer your risk, right? So some other things that we need to look at, the disability insurance, right? Yet again, if I become disabled, I can no longer walk. I got a buddy, he played basketball. He got in a car accident about 3-4 years ago. And he can no longer walk anymore. What if he was driving trucks for a living? But what if he had the right insurance that would have paid him out a lump sum up to $1 million that he can access prior to? That puts him in a different game. Now, for whatever additions he needs to in this house, take a portion of the money, buy into BYOB Trading Academy, learn a new skill, take a portion of that money and trade and make enough income to live the rest of his life on. And then the income that he makes, he does what? He starts buying other tangible assets. That pays income in order that he can leverage. Like wealth is a game. We just got to learn how to play it. All right. So some other things are credit. And when I say credit, that's personal and business credit. When I identify credit, I identify how powerful credit is when it comes to leveraging. Leverage allows me to do more, acquire more, buy more, produce more than what I am capable of doing. That's how you duplicate yourself, right? If I had to go buy a property, I had to go buy this house. Man, this is $300,000. Do I want to take $300,000 that I can make $1 million in 2 years to buy a house that's going to save me $1,200 a month? Or do I want to put down $30,000, i.e. 10% on this house, take the other $270,000 and now make $900,000? So now I'm able to acquire this house. Now I have somewhere to stay, or I can rent. I get tax deductions. I got future potential appreciation, but I still have majority of my money over here working in other asset classes. This is leverage in a position where we have good credit, decent to good credit, in our personal, which makes it easier to then build and get business credit. And guess what? We help with all these things. Not only help you get there and get the good credit and make sure that you have the business credit, but then the goal is to show you how to use it. Because what can we do? Over leverage. Put our money to bad assets that we have embedded appropriately. All right. So auto insurance, term insurance, getting rid of bad debt, all these things help you build a solid foundation. Because I want no one on this call, no one I come in contact with, to build this thing to call wealth and then to lose it all. We don't want you to be majority of the basketball players. How do you think that makes them feel? I was popular, I was known, I was on TV, I was making millions, I was paying for people trips, I was buying the latest designer, I got the newest cars. 7 years later, I'm in the unemployment line next to you. 7 years later, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. Man, right? Just imagine how someone feels to have it all and then to lose it all. Why? Because the lack of protection and the lack of knowledge. That won't be us here, right? So then let's talk about the accumulation phase. This is where we're actually taking a risk. We bought protection. We got a foundation to stand upon. Now we have to be able to afford the risk. So now when I look at this risk, this is where we have to learn a high value skill. We need the high value skill. That can be in trading, that become being a realtor. That can, ideally, I like a high value skill that's separate from your job and your business. Because as you're making the money in your job, as you're making the money in your business, what is that skill you're going to use after your job, after your business, during your job, and during your business, right? We have to have a high value skill to be able to grow what we're actually bringing in. So learn that high value skill. Me personally, mine is trading stock and options. As I mentioned today, the stock market dropped today. And I'll be transparent. I made a trade, I think it was yesterday, actually, right? Does this happen every single day? No. Yesterday, anticipating to fall, it did. I made about 150% return on my money in one day. And the market was falling. Yeah, it's possible. That's dope. That sounds good, right? But guess what? I have a plan for that money. I'm spending that money in 4 different ways. It's going to 4 different places. I'm not going to put all 100% back into the same risk I put it to money, but that's my high value skill. I'm just retired. I got a whole bunch of money I accumulated over the years. I learned a high value skill that can continue producing me income just in case 2035 Social Security is truly unfunded. And then now Social Security doesn't exist, but what my high value skill does, right? And let's say I just retired, I got no cash, but I got great credit. I'm gonna go get credit. I'm gonna take my skill and I'm not gonna over leverage, and I'm gonna take that skill to make more money than the interest I'm being charged in the payment that I have to pay. And then now I just use leverage and a high value skill to live life on my own terms. This is how wealth works, right? So also, we're accumulating businesses, we're accumulating real estate, and then I have permanent insurance. We're going to talk about that on the next screen, right? So then once we're accumulating all this wealth, yet again, now we got to preserve it because we took risk to get it. Now we got to preserve it. We got to dial down on the risk a little bit, right? Why? Because it's coming closer to us really needing this for our long term, right? I may not be able to take as many flights to look at different properties as I was in my 30s or 40s and now in my 60s, right? Now I don't have a time frame to make up for major losses that may happen or take major risks that may happen because I'm gonna need this money within the next 10 years. So this is where we get into that preservation phase. This is where this is where we make sure all these assets we've accumulated has the appropriate insurance, whether it be through something like an umbrella insurance, an umbrella policy, checking our limits that we have on our current policies, right? Leveraging our assets, right? Yet again, I built this real estate. I had it for 20 years. Now it's worth $2 million. Do I go sell it for $2 million? No. Why, Jay? It's $2 million. Because there's something called recapture taxes. You're going to have to pay taxes on all the depreciation that you took on the property for all them years. Number 2, it's called capital gains tax, right? You bought it for $500,000. Now it's worth $2 million. That's $1.5 million in taxes you got to pay. What if the tax rate at that time frame is, let's say 50%? You got to pay $750,000. So Jay is not $2 million anymore. But what can you do? Leverage it, to obtain the money from it, and leverage is not taxable. So many ways that we help and show people how to build, keep, grow, and transfer wealth, right? So now we look at annuities, right? Annuities has protection. A lot of annuities you can't lose because they have protection from downside risk, but it guarantees me a certain amount of income. So the money I just sold my business for, a part of it is going to go into annuity and give me a guaranteed stream of income. That's my Social Security. And then now we're looking at stocks. You can buy insurance on stocks too. There's ways to position financial knowledge to protect even your stock portfolio. I don't care market you want to drop, go ahead. I pay car insurance. When's the last time I had a car accident? It's probably some time, but I'm paying insurance on it because it's better to have it than to not to have it. So there's many things to preserve and keep our money safe. And then to go back to that transparency aspect, this is where we take all the knowledge and information and wealth that we build and we pass along to the next generation. And then we were able to use and benefit a lot of this wealth because we were able to leverage. And then we can have insurance, pay off all our debts that we accumulated over our life, so our inheritance can receive everything tax-free. Wealth made simple, right? So with that, when I look at insurance, we're going to focus and talk about life insurance, right? That's going to be one of the first things that we talk about. We can and we will get into what? Homeowner policies, whether it be a HO4, HO3, HO6, HO2, right? And talk about what kind of limits and the rights and policies we should have. Right? What kind of limits should we have? What kind of umbrella policies should we have? But right now we're going to talk about temporary. These are the foundations of life insurance, and have one or the other, or ideally, if you're tactical, you have a combination of the two. Right? So when I look at something temporary, an example is I'm renting right now. Eventually, I want to buy a house, which can be permanent. That's how you can look at term and permanent insurance policies. Right? It's ideal sometimes when people are starting off their wealth journey. I might not have as much money as I desire or that I really want to put away into a policy. Therefore, I normally, and people start off with this thing called the term policy. One reason why that's key, it ensures your insurability, which means I can potentially, well, you should be able to, with the right policy, you can convert it into a permanent policy in the future when your income phase starts to go up. So now I can put this into a permanent policy. A temporary, just like it says, is a temporary fix just in case. It's the most cheapest, but it's going to pay you out the highest death benefit. But this is what the industry, what people don't tell you. It's a need for it, don't get me wrong, but less than 2% of actual and life term insurance policies actually pay out. Now, there's a plethora of reasons why, but we need to take that into consideration. Right? Because I work with people and clients that does what? Sometimes that's all they have is a term policies, which is fine, right? I want to help them identify the goal, how much you actually need, and then when can we convert this to something permanent? Because when you convert into a permanent, that is an asset class. Now, a permanent insurance policy, what? It never goes away. I have it for the rest of my life. Versus a term, normally the longest time frame is about 30 years. But with a permanent policy, that is an asset now. So ideally, people say, man, permanent policies are way more expensive than term policies. Ideally, they're really not. The amount of money you set aside is more. But do you understand? Well, what a lot of us don't understand is that a lot of the money that we're actually putting and paying to these permanent policies is going into what we call the cash value, which is an asset that you can use. This is what a lot of us don't understand. So now I'm shifting where my money is going. So instead of it going into a bank account where if I were to decease, my beneficiaries are going to only receive what's inside of that bank account, which is subject to creditors, which is earning a very low interest rate, which is the interest rate that it does earn is being taxed on. But the money inside that permanent insurance policy, it does what? It grows tax-free. but it's going to give them this thing called a death benefit. So now I just shifted it going from a savings account into this permanent policy, and now they get more money than what I actually put away. That's transferring that risk to somebody else. But there's a plethora of other benefits when it comes to that, right? So what I'm going to do is, at this point, I'm going to break down term policies, then I'm going to break down a permanent policies, and then I'm going to show you guys how to appropriately structure these properties, because a lot of people are not doing it right. If I go back to what I said at the beginning, a lot of insurance agents, unfortunately, they look at this as just a job, something to pay the bills. The highest commission I charge you, the better it is for my family, but it's not or may not be ideal for you, the client, the individual that's trying to build wealth. They work for you all. Unfortunately, a lot of these policies are not structured correctly. And this is where someone like me, like us, right, with BYOB Wealth Lounge, we're coming in here, we're giving you the knowledge and information of what it needs and what it should look like to help you build wealth and not just be an expense or a cost to you. So along our next talks, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to really break down these insurance policies. So I want you to bring your questions about insurance, right? Bring questions about your term, your life insurance policies, any of those policies. Matter of fact, if you do have insurance policies and you're not sure if you have the right insurance policy, there's 2 things we can do. Let's do this here. Because if you already have insurance, that's great. You took the first step. Now, the second thing we need to make sure is, do you have the right insurance? Do you have the right amount of insurance, right? What I want you guys to do here, the next screen here is, it's going to be a link here. You guys should be able to scan that link, and you can actually book a free one-on-one wealth consultation strategy with me. And what that's going to actually happen is to break down the policy that you do have, or talk about the policies that you may need, and making sure that your specific questions are answered. Because when we go live, right, we're giving a lot of general information, but everybody's situation is different. We're on a different path on our wealth building journey. So this is where we can actually connect one-on-one. And one thing that we do that we're dedicated to is better than to give. So our job is better than to give than to receive. We want to educate and empower people. This is why we have these free consultations. But not only in this consultation, is a one-on-one. Once you get that one-on-one, or even before you get this one-on-one, I want you to take the knowledge and information that I give you, because it's not mine. It's just something that I learned, I developed, that I've been gifted to learn, and actually even just deposited into me. I want you to join the Wealth Lounge and share it with everyone inside. Everyone needs to know, like, it's like each one reach one, each one teach one, right? Imagine you learning something that you did not know, that you can help another generation, whether it be older or younger, to help not go through what you experienced, to help them build wealth. Now that you help them build wealth, what do you now have? A community of wealthy people. What can a community of wealthy people do? Group economics, and start acquiring and buying things. And this is how change happens. This is how change happens, through economic empowerment, right? So it's important that we're around and with a community of people that seek to gain the same things that we want, that has the same mindset, right? That wants to build wealth, or those that are already wealthy. We can lean and glean from one another. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about. I have a couple things identified for us going forward. Let me see here. Let me go ahead and put this up here. What do we have? Someone blessed me with something to feed kids. Have gone without food from yesterday until now. I have no hope of from begging. Cash out. Clinton. One, thank you for your transparency, Clinton. All right. I want to talk to you too, Clinton, right? Because we all go through hard times. We might not always be on top. The Bible tells us the poor would always be among us. There's a difference between being poor and being broke. Being broke is I don't have it, or I ran into hard times. And we all run into hard times. I have as well, right? So imagine you're in a community around wealthy people that can actually help and bless that, right? Because I'm going to send you something, Clinton. My job is to sow it to people. All right, so I'm going to make sure I take down your cash app, and I'm going to send you something. Right. And remember what I said, each one reach one, each one teach one. So by me doing this for you, your job, what I want you to do with this is a seed that I'm sowing into you, that I want you to take this information and keep learning about financial literacy and wealth. Our goal is for you never to be in this position, but get out of this position. When you do, you're going to be able to help other people. You're going to be able to sow and give to somebody else that's in this situation as well. So you will have enough money for your kids to eat, right? This is what being in the right environments and around the right people does for you, right? And that's wealth. That's what wealth is, right? And don't be ashamed of it, right? We all fall, right? Sometimes we go high and then we come back low. But our goal is when we do go high to be able to protect ourselves so we don't have to fall to the ground. Remember what I said, we plan for the worst, we hope for the best. And with your transparency, you can work with us. And there's also this community and identify, man, how'd you get there? What happened? Right? Because it's always something that happens that we did or we didn't do, or something that we learned and we didn't learn. And then when you identify what that is, you go screaming to the rooftops and tell everybody else that. So be expecting from me something soon here, Clinton. Any other questions or anything else about tonight, about insurance or just about wealth in general? I will invest my time and take at least 1 or 2 questions if there's any. All right. If there's no other questions that one may have, I'm going to go ahead and bid you guys farewell. I hope there was something that said that kind of give you guys some kind of insight, some knowledge, instruction, and even hope about building this thing called wealth. And until next Wednesday at 7 p.m. That's going to be a great question. I'm going to confirm. I'll drop in the web chat about next Wednesday because why, right? I'm actually going to be traveling abroad to be with family, friends, and networking, right? So I'll be in a different country, but my goal is to make sure I have the right internet and the right surroundings. Still find them a way to have class. I may have to adjust the time frame potentially, but I'll make sure that you guys will hear me next week. And we're going to keep on talk about building wealth. You guys can, like I said, book the one-on-one consultation. That's free. That's my pleasure to share this knowledge, share this information with you all. I'm glad that you guys got something from it. Until next time, let's invest.